Hierarchies in contact with gray extraterrestrials. August 20, 2014. It's very easy yet very unwise to fall into depression and similar qualities over unimportant things that pose no relevance in the big picture, but many of you will find that it's much harder to reach the positive space you'd worked so hard to reach when you do. In order to anchor a higher vibration, you'll need to be willing to hollow out your egos so they can be proper receptors for the energy and inspiration of the brimming heart. If you can't connect with your heart, you won't connect with your higher selves very easily, and you may find it difficult to reach the loving space that helps you thrive. Even though you can utilize your third eye and crown chakras to communicate with us, our impressions primarily come through your opening and expanding hearts. The third eye and crown chakras play a big role in transmitting our communications, but their work isn't complete without the heart's influence. A certain shade. The heart adds a certain shade to our communications. A certain characteristic that can only be found if you open it and root yourselves in it, refusing to fall away from it in favor of the same old negativity that's kept you ensnared in darkness and spiritual unawareness for millennia. We ask you, with love in our one heart, to choose positivity and the caring, open-hearted mindset that'll lead you back into the higher realms over negativity and self-instated lowness. And while we don't intend to sound dualistic, we absolutely intend to encourage you to choose the light over the dark. Does it not make sense that we'd recommend this? From our perspective, the light will fill you with far more energy, enthusiasm, and elation than it has so far. And while we don't recommend suppressing or hiding from darkness, which is very necessary for the growth of the light, we do recommend ceasing to fall into darkness and the aforementioned unawareness when you could otherwise spiritually soar. As you're starting to find, you can spiritually soar every day if you let yourselves, and all it takes is the willingness to empty the ego and let your hearts be the primary influencers of your reality and your decisions, which create your reality. Open your minds to the energies you can receive through your third eye, crown and heart chakras, and let the influence of each chakra enhance the quality of the energies and impressions you can receive. With this said, we'll happily answer the first question that's been provided for us by a reader. Question number 1. Higher vibrational hierarchies. There has been a discussion on and off for a while now about hierarchy. One view is that any sort of hierarchy is a form of separation and control, while another is that there is a dark hierarchy and a light hierarchy, and the light is here to progress the evolution of the planet and humanity while the dark form does not. I would like to know your and your channeled view. Love and respect. Hierarchies, as most humans define them, don't quite exist in the higher dimensions, because your definition of the term has been distorted to include the idea that those who are in the upper ranks are somehow better or more worthy than those in the lower. The hierarchies established on your planet don't take spiritual awareness or evolution into account. Most earthly souls are concerned with very different aims and agendas, and your planet's hierarchies have been distorted from our hierarchies. To understand them, you'll have to understand the structure of your existence. As plenty of channeled sources have said, everything in existence ripples out from the source, the essence, the creator, the sacred center, whatever you wish to call the omnipotent consciousness that's responsible for everything around us. The further we traveled from the source to create endless realities, the denser our creations grew, and the more we challenged ourselves by laying out complex, multi-layered dimensions. These dimensions eventually became very thick and hardened, as you can imagine, and this is a very simplistic explanation of how your lower realms came into existence. We mentioned this to tell you that the hierarchical structure that exists in the higher realms has nothing to do with worthiness, but everything to do with the progress that's made in growing back to source and serving others along the way. Nobody's seen as more or less worthy of source's love in the higher realms. And our hierarchies, if you wish to use this word, are based entirely on our dimensional growth and the learning we've experienced up to our current point. What you call a hierarchy, we simply call existence, because everyone's an honored part of it. Everyone, in every lower and higher dimension, is a part of our sacred hierarchy, and we're all incarnate in different realms. we'll all eventually leave our respective realms behind as we experience even purer realms, and eventually reunite with Source, but everyone's current position in this hierarchy is based on where they're at along their growth and development. While we're on this subject, we'll give our perspective on the idea that kings and queens exist on spiritually evolved planets. Some seekers might find it hard to imagine that other, more evolved planets boast kings and queens just like yours, and this ties in with the idea that some form of hierarchy exists in the higher realms. Imagine this, however, the kings, queens, and royal families of every evolved planet don't get to their positions by conquering the land and the people, they get there by lovingly serving the people and completely dedicating themselves to helping their planet and everyone on it thrive. Higher dimensional royal families are only royal because of their exalted spiritual status and the immensely selfless acts they constantly provide for their people. We're giving our scribe an image of Master Yeshua washing his disciples' feet, and you can apply this image to the selfless service otherworldly royalty provide for their people. Even though many of them are blessed with exquisite crystal castles, they don't live a higher standard than the citizens of their planets. Imagine that true prosperity is experienced all over these planets, and the royal families don't live any differently than the citizens. In fact, the royalty lives to serve the citizens and help them refine the light. Imagine that everyone on these evolved planets is allowed to live in a crystal castle if they want, and nobody's limited by oppressive laws or economic strains that are caused by self-serving governments. True royalty lies in your ability and willingness to serve those around you, and plenty of souls on your planet have reached near royalty status by doing just that. Royalty seems to lie in pillaging territories and controlling citizens on your planet, but spiritual royalty is all about love, service, and progress. With the subject of hierarchies and spiritual royalty addressed, we'll move on to our next question. Question number 2. Contact with the Greys. This is more of a personal question, but a little while ago I had a conscious dream of contact with the Greys, Grey Extraterrestrials. I'm wondering if that was real, and if any future conscious contact will occur in this reality. The subject of the Grey Extraterrestrials can be difficult, because negative factions of this race have worked with your cabal for decades. They offered advanced technologies, some of which are very familiar to you today and some of which are very warlike, in exchange for permission to perform abductions, cattle mutilations, and myriad other things that, in your society's eyes, originate in the imaginations of crazy people or people who make up stories. These things have indeed happened, and the Grey Extraterrestrials who embrace darkness and self-service have been primarily responsible for them. However, the company of heaven is comprised of more than billions of benevolent, spiritually evolved extraterrestrials who seek to serve humanity and help you find the light in a very dark place. And a chess game, if you wish to call it that, has been playing out between the dark and light for longer than your history can date. Some have called this game a war, but the side of the light never takes offensive measures. We act in a way that's similar to how Gaia's nature acts in the face of humanity's continual domination of it. We steadily and patiently grow, like a vine or a patch of weeds, until our influence is so strong that we've completely overtaken an area the Dark Ones claimed for themselves. We steadily work to enlighten every lower vibrational planet to their potential, to embrace the light and leave darkness and unawareness behind. But darkness has run rampant on your planet for millennia because of a host of different reasons. The Grey race isn't all bad, and just as there are negative factions of this race, there are positive Greys, many of whom only visit the Earth to study your soil oceans and help mitigate some of the worst pollution that's been produced, or, on occasion, make dreamtime contact with an earthly soul who's subconsciously close with them. The benevolent Greys help the Pleiadians, Sirians, Arcturians, Andromedans, and various others who are actively focused on your planet's ascension and on helping you construct a utopian society, and while they aren't as active as the other races, they still play their part. For the most part, the benevolent Greys don't visit your surface much because of what their negative counterparts have done. When humanity is ready, the truth about the negative Greys' covert operations and the cabals, allowance of their operations will be brought to light, and you'll also learn about the existence of a plethora of advanced races who routinely visit your planet, and even keep bases under your ground, rivers, and oceans. Bases are even kept in some of your more notable mountains, though they're built considerably deep underground. Needless to say, humanity has a lot to learn about the truths of your existence and the widespread assistance you're being given from various positive extraterrestrial races, and the purpose of their focus on your planet is to welcome you into their universal family and, again, help you build a galactic society. Before any of these wonderful things can happen, however, a lot of inner and outer work needs to be done by the conscious public and the rest of humanity to bring your planet into the light. A pure collective vibration is required for contact. The benevolent star nations we speak of, which include the Greys, exist on a very pure vibration, and many of them can't directly walk the surface of your planet without some type of technological shield that protects them from the darkest and densest energies still plaguing your society. They're able to travel underground with the help of advanced, lower vibration deflecting technology they have aboard their ships, but they won't be able to directly assist you in cleansing all of your pollution and creating a new way of life until a lot of significant work has been done. This work has long been started, and waves of conscious seekers are stepping up to the plate, to offer themselves to the restoration of consciousness. Keep going, especially when depletion or depression seem to sneak up and suddenly stop you from playing your roles, because your work is more important than we can express. We, as well as your galactic brothers and sisters, are very excited for the day when our reunion with humanity can officially take place. You'll host the presence of numerous advanced civilizations who've been waiting for your collective vibration to purify, so they can share everything they have with you, and you'll also host the presence of higher dimensional civilizations who take the form of pure energy. It'll be interesting to say the least, and we obviously don't intend to talk about this future as if you should focus solely on it and not the work that needs done to bring it about. However appetizing this future sounds, and we know it sounds very appetizing for those of you who've waited a very long time to see it happen, it'll result from the work you consciously and unconsciously do to rid yourselves of the ego-driven influences that endlessly strive to keep you chained to the lower vibrations, vibrations that are far too dense and suffocating for your galactic family to endure. You'll find when you do the necessary inner work and uproot everything that holds you back from spiritually soaring, that you never required disclosure, direct contact or anything else to affirm the things you know and feel within. In fact, you won't even look to them as things that increase your sense of self-love, because you'll have found far more love and bliss than you can take in. You'll have reintroduced yourselves to a wealth of loving and blissful feelings that you'd practically forgotten about, and your overflowing love will help you feel more secure in your spiritual understanding, thus diminishing the need for any external validation of something that's already very clear and obvious. Then, you'll experience the validation you stopped needing. This is how miraculous your future will be, but it can't happen if you don't commit to living for the light in every moment. Constantly embody the divine qualities, and constantly ask yourselves if you're living for the ego self or the divine self. As difficult as it could be to imagine, your every thought, word, and action is monumentally important to your ascension and the manifestation of your heavenly future, and we'll make our final expressions for this communication with encouragement to realize that a lot will be asked of you if you want to experience the future we've outlined here. Responsibility and discipline will be big aspects of your work to create your new earth and physically spiritually evolve, but we don't want to make your work sound like something that'll drag on your minds and hearts, because you'll enjoy it more than almost any other work you've done so far. This is because a lot of your work will center on doing things you enjoy, things that fill you with the livelihood that seems missing from your society, and everyone will enjoy the construction of your new earth and everything that'll come with it. Thank you to my higher self and spiritual guides. Channeled through Wes Anak. cultureofawareness.com